This was such a difficult video to start. Like, I have so much to say and so many things I want to talk about, but I think I just have to start with saying thank you. Thank you to you guys, all of you. This community is amazing, and I've really grown some genuine friendships. Of course, I have to thank JP for just being a true, genuine friend. I have to thank Sarah for reaching out and having these wonderful conversations that really helped me get through some tough times. Kurt, he's always been down. So many people I have to thank. Honestly, like, it just means a lot. And when I think back, this channel started out of my anxiety. I started doing this because I couldn't go through my day without having multiple panic attacks, and the only thing that really helped me was gaming. But even then, sometimes gaming would cause panic attacks. Like, everything in my life was causing panic attacks where I couldn't catch my breath, and it was incredibly scary. But gaming was the only thing that gave me some sort of salvation. So I started this channel just to be able to talk about that. And look where we're at now, 1,000 subscribers, and that couldn't have happened without you. You are amazing, and I truly appreciate you. I can never thank you enough. Although I also understand that there's a lot of people who just want to talk about video games, so let's get to it. So as you guys know, Vampire Survivors came out last week, and I'm not sure if you're aware, that style of game has become like one of my favorite genres. I think I was watching What to Play Next, and she talked about Vampire Survivors probably a year or so ago, maybe even a little bit more, but it was enough that made me want to go and check the game out. Unfortunately, it was only available on Steam, but I still got it for that and really enjoyed it. By the way, if you ever want to check out What to Play Next, her channel is awesome. It's mostly PC games, but a lot of times you can see games that will be coming to the Switch in, the near future, so I'll put a link in the description so you guys can check her channel out. But whether we're talking about the PC version, the mobile version, or the Switch version, Vampire Survivors is a great game. It is easily a 9 out of 10, maybe even a 10 out of 10 when you start looking at value and content and just how massive the game actually is. It is without a doubt a must-buy. But that got me thinking, what about the other games that are like Vampire Survivors? Are there any better ones? I've touched on a few here on this channel, and I think there's a few others that I haven't gotten a chance to play, but at least the ones that I've played, some of them are really, really good and could actually hold a candle to Vampire Survivors. So that's what I want to do here. I could have done a review over Vampire Survivors, but I feel like that would have been a waste of time, specifically your time, because I'm pretty sure you guys know how I felt about the game, as I've talked about it, well, quite a few times on this channel. So I figured, why don't we take two of the best Switch games that are Vampire Survivor-esque and compare them and see which one is actually the winner. As we look at this triple threat match, of course we have Vampire Survivors, we have Spirit Hunters, Infinite Horde, and finally, we have Void Scrappers. So let's start off with the typical video game review rundown. Graphics. Now, I think all three of them have pretty decent graphics, and they do definitely bring something to the table. I have to say the third place finisher is Void Scrappers, followed by the number 2 spot going into, I would say, Vampire Survivors. It has great graphics and it's very detailed and I really like it. But when you look at the graphics of Spirit Hunters, it looks really good. It looks like a real step up. And it's not the pixel art, it's just the way that the characters and the environment kind of pop off the screen. So yeah, number 1 spot is actually going to be Spirit Hunters. So as far as control, which I think is a really important part of these games and many other games, controls are always top tier as importance for me. I would say all three of them really tie. They get very, very close to all being the same, which is excellent. And that's how they have to be for you to enjoy these games. But if I did have to edge out a winner, honestly, I would say it's probably Void Scrappers, as it's just a little bit more smoother and it's definitely a lot more fast paced, and it really helps how tight the controls are. But again, we're talking minuscule amounts of difference here. So as we go into a deeper kind of environmental situation, we're looking at like the sound. And I have to be honest, Void Scrappers and Spirit Hunters both kind of show their production issues when it comes to sound, as Vampire Survivors is easily the winner here. It's just more original. You can just tell there's more depth, and that really helps immerse you into the game. Now, looking at another really important factor performance. As we're looking right now, pretty much it's a three-way tie. With each of them having a first place finish, performance is incredibly important. And I have to say that there is without a doubt a clear winner here, and that is Vampire Survivors. There will be moments when there's just hundreds of enemies on the screen, and there is no lagging, no dropping, no nothing. The game performs so well. Void Scrappers, on the other hand, can get to a point, especially at one of the more final bosses, quote unquote, where it's a giant UFO, and there's tons of other ships on the screen. It kind of starts lagging a little bit, especially when you have all your weapons going off. They got their weapons going off. It really does take a toll on the game, just how much it requires. Now, Spirit Hunters, on the other hand, doesn't lag as much or have as much problems, but the thing is, some of those visuals in Spirit Hunters, I think, do take from the performance, and it's just slight. It's not a huge difference, and you're going to enjoy your time with Spirit Hunters, and you're probably not going to notice it too much, but there is definitely a little bit of lag when that screen's full, and there's just so much chaos going on. So just to update you guys, Vampire Survivors has 2 first place finishes, with the other ones receiving 1 apiece. So let's look at a few specific aspects of these games that really add to them. And the first one being that we all know that these games are sort of like a roguelike, in the fact that you are meant to die and you have single runs that are, RNG. But the real staying power of these type of games is the permanent upgrades, the things that you can do after the match is over with all the coins you've collected or whatever currency the game actually, appeals to. And then you can add those into permanent upgrades. Now, all of them have their own specific style. Void Scrappers has a very upfront, general, easy to understand upgrade system where you basically put your points in at 5 points at a time, usually per upgrade, and they range from your attack power, your defense, all of those categories on down, to projectile speed and how often you get shields. Now, Spirit Hunters, on the other hand, has a whole skill tree, and this gets kind of complicated if you ask me, as it goes into a lot of different aspects and different moves and weapons that can be unlocked and different characters and how they perform, because you see, with the other games, it's pretty much generalized. The upgrades go to everybody, but not Spirit Hunters. They have specific characters that get the upgrades in the skill trees. Honestly, I think that's really cool if you're into that style of game where, you have to do a lot of strategy before you do your run and after your run. But that's not really why I play these games. So if I'm being honest, for me personally, I go with Void Scrappers winning this one out just by a little bit. Vampire Survivors has kind of the same style, but theirs are so expensive that at times you can do an entire run and still not be able to upgrade, so it kind of doesn't feel like you're progressing as well. But if you are a person who really appreciates the Spirit Hunters aspect of the complexity of upgrades and how you can change your characters and how you can add different weapons and moves to the game, I'm with you. I hear you. It's just not my style for this style of game. I'm that way with like RPGs and stuff like that, but this kind of game, I just like to put on and play and not really think too much. Now, as I'm looking at aesthetics, which I think is incredibly important, I have to say that first off, I'm going to say yes, graphically speaking, Spirit Hunters did win, but for me, the aesthetics of the game, as where it does have a rich, nice background, it also seems kind of mobile phone-ish, if you will. And I know that's nitpicky, but for me, I just prefer the look of Vampire Survivors. It has a pixel art style. It looks kind of old school Castlevania-esque. It really actually makes it a little bit more scary or a little bit more creepy with that style. And I have to say the backgrounds, the different stages, they add so much to the game. So much more than I even realized, because coming in at dead last is Void Scrappers because it doesn't really have backgrounds. It's all pretty much in space, so it's all black. And I really started to notice that the backgrounds, the stages, the levels, they kind of become their own character in a way, because you use them as point of reference when you're kind of moving around and you're trying to avoid the hordes of enemies coming at you, and yet trying to double back and get your experience so you can level up. And yeah, I just say, like, I really prefer Vampire Survivors in this. It just looks better. Now, we've gone on for quite a while, and I'm going to end with value. And this one, yet again, Vampire Survivors is the winner, as it comes in at $4.99 and offers just so much content. Now, the other two are also really good values as well. Void Scrappers specifically is actually cheaper than Vampire Survivors by about $1, as it regularly goes for $3.99 and sometimes is on sale for $1.99. Although why it loses to Vampire Survivors is this: no backgrounds, no real changes in levels, and you don't get as much content as well as performance issues. When you add all that up, that extra dollar doesn't really matter. And finally, coming in at third place has got to be Spirit Hunters. It's $9.99. There's a lot of money for it, double the price of Vampire Survivors, and you don't really get as much content. Now, it's still, like I said, a really great game, and there's a lot of almost upgraded aspects of that game. I would never say it's a bad game. Although, when compared to Vampire Survivors, it just doesn't reach that level yet. It's really good, and I love the direction they're going in. I actually really, like I said, love this genre of games, and I haven't played a bad one, to be honest, but the king is still Vampire Survivors. When you look at content, value, aesthetics, controls, performance, all of those things, Vampire Survivors is the best. But I'm kind of curious what you guys think. Do you like this style of game? Have you played this style of game? Is it still too new for you? Or do you have a favorite one? Do you agree with me on my assessments of each and their categories and how they performed? Anything and everything. I really appreciate you guys. By the way, one last thing. I just want to say I've got a bunch of other videos coming out. I was traveling a lot, so it really actually allowed me to game a lot more than I thought. But also I just want to say too, if I don't respond to you or if I seem to be a little bit busy, I will always get back to you, but I am notoriously bad for not having my phone on me. And the main two issues are gaming and my daughter, as when I have downtime, I really need to be gaming. That's really what this channel is about. And at this other time, I have my daughter with me. She does not like me looking at my phone, so half the time I just leave it under my pillow and forget about it. But anyway, I do love each and every one of you guys. You are amazing. I will see you in the next day or two with another video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.